Welcome to Trending Update USA. This is Steffan, and today I'm bringing you one of the most emotional and difficult stories the tennis world has faced in a long time, a story that has left fans shocked, heartbroken, and searching for answers, because unbelievably sad does not even begin to describe what Aryna Sabalenka is facing right now. As the world #1 powerhouse finds herself at what may be the hardest moment of her entire career. For years, Aryna Sabalenka has been known as one of the strongest mental and physical forces in women's tennis, a player whose roar after every big point symbolized confidence, aggression, and an unbreakable fighting spirit. She built her reputation on raw power, fearless shot-making, and an intensity that intimidated opponents before the first ball was even struck. From Grand Slam titles to weeks spent at the very top of the WTA rankings, Sabalenka's journey seemed like a story of constant upward momentum, proof that hard work, belief, and resilience always win in the end. But today, the narrative has taken a deeply painful turn. Behind the trophies, the prize money, and the highlight reels, Sabalenka is now confronting a wave of emotional, professional, and psychological challenges that have shaken her to the core. Those close to the situation describe this period as the most testing phase of her career, one that goes far beyond forehands and serve speeds. This is not just about tennis anymore. This is about identity, pressure, loss, expectation, and the crushing weight of being at the very top when everything starts to feel like it's falling apart. Fans first began to notice that something wasn't right earlier this season. Sabalenka's body language on court looked different. The confident glare was replaced with frustration. The roar became quieter, sometimes absent altogether. Matches that once felt routine suddenly turned into uphill battles. Unforced errors crept into her game, particularly at critical moments, and her serve, long considered one of the most devastating weapons in women's tennis, began to falter when it mattered most. Double faults returned at the worst possible times, reopening wounds from earlier struggles she had worked so hard to overcome. Yet even these visible signs only tell part of the story. Off the court, Sabalenka has been navigating an emotional storm that would break many athletes. Sources close to her camp reveal that she has been dealing with a profound sense of exhaustion, not just physical fatigue, but mental burnout that stems from years of non-stop competition, travel, and expectations. When you are world #1, every match feels like a final, every opponent plays the match of their life against you, and every loss is treated as a crisis. What makes this moment especially tragic is how hard Sabalenka worked to reach the top in the first place. Her early career was anything but smooth. She battled inconsistency, struggled with nerves on big stages, and faced critics who questioned whether her high-risk style could ever translate into sustained success. Many doubted her ability to win Grand Slams, pointing to her emotional reactions and mental lapses as signs she would always fall short. But Sabalenka silenced those doubts through sheer determination, reshaping her mindset, improving her shot selection, and turning weakness into strength. Winning her first Grand Slam was an emotional breakthrough, a moment that validated years of sacrifice. Standing on that stage, trophy in hand, she looked like a player who had finally conquered her demons. Titles followed, confidence soared, and soon she found herself not just among the elite, but leading them. The world #1 ranking came with prestige, respect, and history, but it also came with an invisible burden that few truly understand until they wear it themselves. Now, that burden feels heavier than ever. Every tournament exit is magnified. Every missed opportunity is dissected by analysts, fans, and social media commentators. Online criticism has become relentless, with some questioning her hunger, others criticizing her emotional expressions, and some even suggesting that her dominance was short-lived. For an athlete who wears her heart on her sleeve, this constant noise can be devastating. Perhaps the most heartbreaking part is seeing how deeply this moment is affecting Sabalenka emotionally. In recent interviews, her words have carried a sadness rarely heard from such a fierce competitor. She has spoken openly about struggling to enjoy tennis the way she once did, admitting that the pressure sometimes drains the joy out of the sport she loves. For someone who built her career on passion and intensity, losing that connection is a terrifying experience. Several moments on court recently have gone viral, not because of incredible winners, but because of raw emotion. Head in hands after losses. Tears welling up during changeovers. Long stares at the ground as if searching for answers that won't come. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of a human being under immense strain, trying desperately to keep moving forward while carrying emotions that feel too heavy. The physical toll cannot be ignored either. High-intensity tennis, especially with Sabalenka's explosive style, places enormous stress on the body. Minor injuries, fatigue, and recovery challenges compound mental struggles, creating a vicious cycle. When the body doesn't respond the way it used to, confidence wavers. When confidence wavers, performance dips. And when performance dips at the top level, the scrutiny becomes unbearable. What adds another layer of sadness is the timing. The women's game right now is incredibly competitive. Young stars like Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, and emerging talents hungry to prove themselves are pushing the standard higher every season. Matches are more physical, margins are tighter, and dominance is harder to maintain. Sabalenka is fighting not just her own challenges, but a new era of rivals who sense vulnerability and seize every opportunity. Still, those who know her best insist that this is not the end of Aryna Sabalenka's story. If anything, they believe this moment could define her legacy more than any title. Tennis history is filled with champions who face dark periods before rising again. The true measure of greatness is not how an athlete performs at their peak, but how they respond when everything goes wrong. Support from fellow players has quietly poured in. Behind closed doors, many have expressed empathy, understanding the loneliness that comes with life on tour. Even rivals know how brutal this sport can be, especially for those who live in the spotlight week after week. While social media can be cruel, there is also a growing wave of fans urging patience, compassion, and respect for an athlete going through a deeply personal struggle. For Sabalenka, the road ahead is uncertain. There may be tough decisions to make, from tweaking her schedule to seeking mental health support, or even stepping back briefly to rediscover joy in the game. Such choices are never easy for a competitor wired to fight through pain and push limits. But sometimes strength means knowing when to pause, reflect, and heal. This moment forces a broader conversation about the pressures elite athletes face, particularly in tennis, one of the most unforgiving individual sports in the world. There is no team to hide behind, no substitution when things go wrong. Win or lose, you stand alone. And when you are number one, there is nowhere to escape the expectations. As fans, it's easy to forget that behind the rankings and statistics is a real person with emotions, fears, and limits. Aryna Sabalenka is not just a champion, she is a human being navigating an extraordinary challenge. This unbelievably sad chapter is a reminder that success does not make anyone immune to pain. Whether this period becomes a painful decline or the beginning of a powerful comeback remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, Sabalenka's courage in facing these struggles openly has already shown a different kind of strength, one that deserves respect. Tennis will always celebrate trophies, but empathy and understanding matter just as much. As the season continues, all eyes will remain on Aryna Sabalenka, not just to see how she performs, but to see how she heals, evolves, and finds her way forward. The hope across the tennis world is that she can rediscover the joy that once fueled her rise, silence the doubts again, and remind everyone why she became world number one in the first place. This is Steffan with Trending Update USA, bringing you the stories that matter beyond the scoreboard, and today, our thoughts are with Aryna Sabalenka as she faces the hardest moment of her career, a moment that proves even the strongest champions have their breaking points, but also the potential to rise again.